Daivarata. Daivarata was revered as a Vedic rishi and master by people like Madan Mohan Malviya and India's first president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. In fact, they directed all those who approached him with doubts on the Vedas to go to Daivarata. Daivarata came and stayed with Bhagavan at Skanda ashram. Bhagavan was very fond of him. Being a very austere saint, he would stay with Bhagavan, but go to the town to beg for food every day. He would bring whatever food he got to Skanda ashram and place it before Bhagavan, saying, Indraya Swaha, meaning, I am offering this to the Lord of Lords. Only after Bhagavan took something from it would he eat the balance. In 1917, he was seated in front of Bhagavan in Skanda ashram along with Ganapati Muni and 6 other great scholars. They plied Bhagavan with beautiful spiritual questions. All these questions and answers have been recorded and brought out as the Sri Ramana Gita. Daivarata asked Bhagavan a crucial question, demanding a definitive answer. He asked, Bhagavan, what is the paramount duty of a seeker? And Bhagavan replied, discovering one's own true nature is the paramount duty. From his childhood, Daivarata was interested in singing bhajans. He used to dance while singing them. In those days, Bhagavan used to go round the hill along with the devotees. Whenever he saw Daivarata, Bhagavan would look intently at him, and Daivarata would start singing and dancing from one side of the road to the other. Devotees too would start singing and dancing. Daivarata was so captivated by Bhagavan's beauty that he writes, his eyes always glitter with spotless light, full of peace and pure love. Like God's, his eyelids too do not close. Even though his eyes are so wide open, they remain steady and introverted. To sit and gaze at his countenance is by itself true worship. People become so engrossed in his darshan that they do not like to leave his divine presence. Daivarata is the only person who has described Bhagavan's voice. No one else has spoken on how Bhagavan's voice sounded. He said, Maharshi's voice is melodious and soft as that of a child. It is exceedingly sweet. At times, it is so soft that it is not even heard clearly. It must be listened to with attention. When we hear his voice, we feel as if we are hearing a divine and subtle voice coming across the firmament. His is the form of divine speech, so vastly extolled in the Vedas. Daivarata's original name was Ganesa Shastri Kosamani. He was called Ganesa and sometimes Gajanan. Now he came to be known as Daivarata. And this is an interesting story. In Hindu culture, we live our life as initiated by the sages. It so happened that he once met a saint from Ujjain who initiated him in Bhakti Marga, the path of devotion. After a few days, another saint came along and trained him in Hatha Yoga practices. He spread bhakti and yoga all his life. And next, he met Ganapati Muni. And the Muni, being a great Sanskrit scholar, naturally attracted him. He asked him, "What is your name?" When he heard that it was Ganesa Shastri Kosamani, popularly known as Gajanan, the Muni said, from today, your name is Daivarata. The Muni was adept at changing names. He had already changed Venkataraman to Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. In fact, it was the Kavyakanta Ganapati Muni who brought Daivarata to Skanda Ashram. At the very first sight of Bhagavan, Daivarata was swept away by Bhagavan's spontaneous abidance in the self, a state extolled in all the four Vedas. Bhagavan permitted him to stay with Ganapati Muni up on the hill, and wherever the Muni went, Daivarata followed him. Once, Daivarata was staying with the Muni at Renukamba temple. He was doing severe penance in the vicinity of the deity. One day, some verses started emerging from his lips. After observing this for 2 days, Ganapati Muni realized that it was a Rig Vedic metrical expression. Daivarata was revealing some of the last mantras, the lost ones, of the Rig Veda. As Daivarata was in ecstasy, some words were not audible, but most of them were taken down by the Muni. These verses, along with a commentary on them written by Ganapati Muni, was later published under the title The Shando Darshana. When Kavyakanta Ganapati Muni passed away in 1936, having lost his mentor, Daivarata left for Nepal. He felt that Nepal was the place where he could satiate his thirst for Vedic knowledge. Moreover, he felt comfortable in Nepal as its king supported him in his quest for Vedic knowledge. But wherever he went, he was in constant touch with Bhagavan through letters. Bhagavan would wait for his letters and would respond to them by writing, by thought, or simply by communicating his grace. In every letter that Daivarata wrote from Nepal, the last line would be, "Always at the holy feet of Sri Bhagavan." I had the great good fortune of receiving this holy man at Sri Ramanasramam in 1960. One sight was enough for me to see that here was a Vedic rishi. Although at the time he was also called Maharshi, he did not use that title at Ramanasramam. Yet I could feel that he was a Maharshi. I had the good fortune of serving him through his wants for very little. Being a staunch Hindu, he revered cows and used to drink cow's urine. With just a cupful of cow's urine and some margosa leaves, he could live happily for days. So much so that Bhagavan himself has talked about Daivarata's austerity. Having renounced the world by then and being very young, I wanted to know more and more about Bhagavan. This great man was so childlike, it was easy for me to approach him and ask anything. I said, "Swami, you have to tell me all about Bhagavan as a man and also Bhagavan as a god." He smiled at me. Perhaps he was laughing at my ignorance, and uttered just one sentence. Bhagavan was God living in the garb of a man. He had described Bhagavan as a man and a god in one sentence. He went on to say that Bhagavan had tremendous powers but was hiding them. Immediately I asked, "What do you mean by that? Can you give an example?" And Daivarata said, "Yes, I can tell you, but can you understand it?" "Well, tell me and I will try." Bhagavan has the power to go back to the past and alter the past. And I said, "Not only can I not understand, I do not even know what you are talking about." He was kind enough to share with me what he had experienced. For once in 1940, he was wandering around the snowy peaks of the Himalayas, immersed in meditation, Suddenly he noticed tears dropping from his eyes and wanted to know the reason for it. Then some force or power from his heart revealed to him that it was his separation from Bhagavan that was causing his anguish. Immediately, without any preparation, he headed straight to Arunachala. The journey took him 15 days. As soon as he came, he went and stood in front of Bhagavan with tears of joy. On seeing him, Bhagavan said, "Just a few moments back, I thought of you and had a strong urge to see you, and now you are here." Daivarata called me his namesake, as he was also Ganesa. He said, "Hey, my namesake, have you understood?" And I said, "No, I have not understood." So he further explained. Though Bhagavan had said just a few moments back, it traveled 15 days back and gave me a push to start my journey towards him. Even made me shed tears and realize that he was calling me. Bhagavan then went walking on the hill and I followed, and he told me, "Abide in the heart. Remember, the heart is Arunachala." Bhagavan had called me to him all the way from the Himalayas to give me this last message. Ever since then, Bhagavan constantly lives in my heart as Arunachala.